dignitaries, galaxy of intellectuals, academic, ladies and gentlemen. I rise to speak about lifestyle diseases, which is the theme of today's seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, lifestyle diseases are the burden of choice, usually attributed to dramatic shifts in the way humans live their lives, often due to advancements in a society or its scientific progress. Rapid changes in diets and lifestyles that have occurred with industrialization, urbanization, economic development, and market globalization have accelerated over the past decade or so. This is having a significant impact on the health and nutritional status of populations, particularly in developing countries and countries in transition. While standards of living have improved, food availability has expanded and become more diversified, and access to services has increased. There have also been significant negative consequences in terms of inappropriate dietary patterns, decreased physical activities, and increased tobacco use, and a corresponding increase in diet-related chronic diseases, especially among poor people. Ladies and gentlemen, today, lifestyle diseases are a major public health problem worldwide. In 2008, the WHO estimated that 61% of all deaths, that is 35 million, and 49% of the global burden of disease were attributable to lifestyle diseases. By 2030, the proportion of total global deaths due to chronic diseases is expected to increase to 70%, and the global burden of disease to 56%. While two-thirds of working women in India suffer from lifestyle diseases, 53% of them skip meals and go for junk food due to work pressure and deadlines. The global burden of cardiovascular diseases, type 2 diabetes mellitus, and obesity are rising, producing enormous losses of life and disability-adjusted life years in both developed and developing nations. They already cost some countries more than 7% of gross domestic product. India is the diabetic capital of the world and is simultaneously emerging as the cardiovascular diseases capital. Most of these burdens are preventable and are occurring at unnecessarily younger ages, largely owing to suboptimal lifestyle, which includes poor diet quality, excess caloric intake, physical inactivity, and smoking. The combination of 4 healthy lifestyle factors, that is, maintaining a healthy weight, exercising regularly, following a healthy diet, and not smoking, seem to be associated with as much as an 80% reduction in the risk of developing the most common and deadly chronic diseases. Since the roots of these habits often originate during the formative stage of life, it's especially important to start early in teaching important lessons concerning healthy living. Modest but achievable adjustments to lifestyle behaviors are likely to have a considerable impact at the individual and population level. Health professionals and the media now repeatedly carry the message that to remain healthy, people need to adopt healthy behaviors. Ladies and gentlemen, is there a simple recipe for good health and longevity? With luck and judgment, how many years of healthy life can we hope to enjoy? How much control over our own health do we now have? Is living to be 100 years simply a matter of choice and personal sacrifice? Four big killers, that is, cardiovascular diseases, cancer, chronic respiratory diseases, and diabetes, alone account for more than half of the globe's nearly 60 million deaths each year. Dealing with the four big causes, that's tobacco use, harmful alcohol use, unhealthy diet, and lack of physical activity, could substantially cut the human and economic toll they impose. Business should play a part in combating non-communicable diseases, contributing through measures such as salt, sugar, and fat reduction in their products, and more responsible marketing that does not target children or glamorize overconsumption. Their willingness to launch such initiatives voluntarily should be encouraged, but compulsory measures may also be necessary to ensure consistent universal implementation. Standards for healthier food, for instance, should apply to all food and drink manufacturers and retailers. My dear colleagues, the science of diet and chronic disease is relatively young, spanning perhaps only half a century. New advances offer substantial evidence from complementary research paradigms on cardio-metabolic effects of specific dietary factors. Great changes have swept the entire world since the second half of the 20th century, including major modifications in diet, first in industrial regions and more recently in developing countries. Traditional, large plant-based diets have been swiftly replaced by high-fat, energy-dense diets with a substantial content of animal-based foods. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living on the edge. World has more than 500 billionaires, with the value of their combined assets now exceeding combined income of poorest 50% of the world's people. Three-fourths of the world's people live in developing countries, enjoy only 16% of the world's income. My dear colleagues, we are living in a world of disturbing contrasts. These are obscenities. These are obscenities of excess in a world where 160 million children are malnourished. 840 million live without secure sources of food, and 1.2 billion lack access to safe drinking water. The tragic consequences of malnutrition include death, disability, stunted mental and physical growth, and as a result, retarded national socio-economic development associated with malnutrition. Iodine deficiency is the greatest single preventable cause of brain damage and mental retardation worldwide, and is estimated to affect more than 700 million people. Over 2,000 million people have iron deficiency anemia. Vitamin A deficiency remains the single greatest preventable cause of needless childhood blindness. Intrauterine growth retardation, low birth weight, affect 30 million newborn babies per year, profoundly influencing growth, survival, and physical and mental capacity in childhood. Given the rapidity with which traditional diets and lifestyles are changing in many developing countries, it is not surprising that food insecurity and undernutrition persist in the same countries where chronic diseases are emerging as a major epidemic. In the past, undernutrition and chronic diseases were seen as two totally separate problems, despite being present simultaneously. This dichotomy has obstructed effective action to curb the advancing epidemic of chronic diseases. Dear colleagues, the root cause of malnutrition include poverty and inequity. Eliminating these causes require political and social action, of which nutritional programs can be only one aspect. Sufficient, safe, and varied food supplies not only prevent malnutrition but also reduce the risk of chronic diseases. Healthy diets and physical activity are key to good nutrition and necessary for a long and healthy life. Eating nutrient-dense foods and balancing energy intake with the necessary physical activity to maintain a healthy weight is essential at all stages of life. Ladies and gentlemen, unbalanced consumption of foods high in energy, including sugar, starch, or fat, and low in essential nutrients, contribute to energy excess, overweight, and obesity. The amount of energy consumed in relation to physical activity and the quality of food are key determinants of nutrition related to chronic diseases. Dear colleagues, is it possible that as a nation becomes richer, its people become less healthy? In India, it turns out that the race to join the middle class is also a race towards health risks usually associated with wealth, not poverty. Increasing globalization means changing lifestyles. People who once ate locally grown fresh fruits and vegetables now eat less healthful foods. What we need is a sustained public health promotion campaign supported by high-level political leadership and focused prevention programs aimed at reducing the prevalence of specific risk factors such as smoking and unhealthy diet. Eat well, live longer. Thank you very much. God bless you all.